Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. I was reading through some of the nasty troll comments people were leaving on my video, The Birth of a Failure. And as I was reading through those comments on that video, I decided to take a minute to go look at the numbers that were related to that video. Now that video has received over 2,750 views. In contrast, a video for my new novel Spellbound, which presents an ad for that new novel, only got about 50 or 100 views. So 2,750 people decided they had time to go and bicker and argue with me over a movie that many of them have not even gone out to see. And they are so passionate about going out to bicker and argue with me over this film. However, I asked the question, where were many of these Afro-American Negroes on October 7th when The Birth of a Nation opened in over 2,750 theaters? Where were many of these Afro-American Negroes when it was time to get the word out about this Birth of a Nation, the movie they were so passionate about? Where were many of these Afro-American Negroes when it was time to stand up for Nate Parker? I'll tell you where many of them were. Many of them were sitting in front of their keyboards looking to declare war on whoever was out here, because these keyboard warriors had all this courage to go and bicker and argue with me, but they didn't have the backbone or the stones to go out on October 7th and spend $14 on a movie they say they were so passionate about. Because if those 2,750 Negroes who wanted to bicker and argue with me took their time and spent $14 on that movie, they would have given $38,500 at the box office towards Nate Parker's film, the film Birth of a Nation they say they were so passionate about. Because when you look at those numbers, they make a condemning statement about this Afro-American Negro. And this is something that I have been trying to, bring the hammer on in video after video in what was supposed to be only one video. I was only going to do one video about this whole Nate Parker mess. But when I keep seeing these ad hominem attacks, I then have to continue to reinforce my arguments. Now, this is going to be the final video I do on this whole Birth of a Nation movie, because I understand the truth about this Afro-American Negro and the things that he says he's so passionate about. Because again, when it comes down to passion, if you really care about something, you're going to put your money towards it, where your mouth is. And when it comes down to this Negro, he doesn't put his money where his mouth is. If he loved this movie so much and wanted to take such a stand on this movie, this Negro would have been in line ready to buy those tickets for Birth of a Nation on October 7th. That would have been the statement he would have made. But no, your Afro-American Negro pretty much showed how weak he is and how much of a coward he is, because he pretty much let these black feminists and these black females make all these statements about Nate Parker. Instead of standing up for this man, they stood behind the black females, because in many cases, many of these men value that atomic waste reactor between that woman's legs more than their own dignity and their self-respect. And then these same Negroes will come to me in the comment section talking about how the movie was about taking a stand. And it's clear to me that your Afro-American Negroes know nothing about taking a stand. Because if these Negroes wanted to take a stand, they would have been standing in line for that Birth of a Nation in spite of what these black feminists said, in spite of what these black women in their homes were saying, in spite of what their black mothers were saying. They would go out here and say, I'm going to go see this movie because I want to see this movie. I'm going to spend my $14 that I work for on something I want to spend my $14 on. That's the statement these Negroes would have made to take that stand. But instead, many of these Afro-American Negroes, because they value atomic waste more than their own dignity and their self-respect, decided they were going to stay home. And then 2 weeks later, many of these same Negroes who are still continuing to bicker and argue with me over a movie that they did not go out to go see and make a statement on and take that stand as they said they were supposed to take, decided they were going to go with their girlfriends to see this boo a Medea Halloween. And as they did that, they made a statement about how weak and emasculated many of you Afro-American Negroes truly are. Because here you are, you had a chance to make that so-called stand and be like this Nat Turner was alleged to be, and say you were going to stand up for black masculinity, and instead, here you are sitting in the theater while your woman is eating nachos with her Gucci purse in your lap, laughing and shucking and jiving over Tyler Perry's antics, where he's playing the minstrel yet one more time, because you think if you go see this Medea Halloween with this Afro-American female, you're going to go and get you a taste of that atomic waste. That's primarily the statement I have to make, regarding this Afro-American Negro and his hypocrisy, because he's going to sit here and call me a super coon and Uncle Tom and saying I betray my race when my actions pretty much show my integrity. Again, I put my money where my mouth is. I go out here and I say, if I say my mission of my publishing company is presenting positive images of African Americans, I go out here and produce positive images of African Americans. I go out and put my money where my mouth is. And if anyone has seen my previous videos, they've seen all the movies that I have shown them that I own in my own personal collection. The same types of positive films that many of you Afro-American Negroes say you want, but when it's time to go down to the theater to put some money on them, you do not put any money on them. And I pretty much put my money on them because I believe in those films. I believe in the message of those films, and I believe in the images in those films and why they are so important. Because this is what I see with this Afro-American Negro. They are the ones who pretty much want to talk the talk, but don't want to walk the walk. And when I look at this whole Birth of a Nation movie, it just is so farcical to me, because many of these Negroes, where you ask yourself the question, where were they? People like your Jesse Williams, Mr. We Gonna Do Stuff. We didn't see this guy standing up for the birth of a nation. Nor did we see your Colin Kaepernick, Mr. I Take a Knee, in the hopes of getting protests about police brutality. We didn't see him go see the birth of a nation. Nor did we see any of these Black Lives Matter people go out here to take a stand on this movie. All these people, if they had gone out to the theater that weekend, maybe that movie, The Birth of a Nation, would have made that $15 million, or maybe the $20 million that many of these Tyler Perry films would have made. But instead, most of these Negroes made the statement that they're not ready to take a stand. They're more eager to take a knee for the white supremacy that they say that they want to stand up against. Now, when I look at these Negroes, it clearly shows me that they, again, talk the talk, but they cannot walk the walk when it comes down to supporting products and ideas that they say that they are so passionate about. Because if all these black men were to have gone out to see this movie, they would have made a profound statement, but they don't have the backbone or the stones to stand up for what they believe in. And this is why that many of these products, like your Birth of a Nation, wind up becoming the birth of a failure at the box office. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.